Hello, receivers, welcome back to the channel. Now, if there's something that I've realized over the years, it is that living abroad teaches you a lot about life, but reaching a certain age teaches you a lot about yourself. So in this video, I want to share with you powerful, beautiful things that I have stopped apologizing for. And these are things that I came to understand after reaching a certain age because, as they say, with age comes wisdom. So maybe, just maybe, these things that I'm going to share with you will also give you the permission to stop apologizing too. Now, then, the first thing that I stopped apologizing for, and this one is a major one, especially when it comes to me, because for a long time I struggled with this. I really struggled. That thing that I'm talking about is putting myself first. Because for a long time, I thought that loyalty or being loyal meant sacrificing your own needs. It meant that you had to prioritize other people instead of prioritizing yourself, or you have to go without and provide for other people first. That's what I thought. And I'll give a simple example. Let's say you know that you need a new coat because the one you have is now worn out. But because you have people who are asking for help from you, and because you feel guilty, you feel bad saying no, you spend months and months or the whole winter months sacrificing yourself, not buying that coat you really need, and instead you go to work shivering, or you have to end up doubling up or wearing something that you don't really want to wear. I mean, this is just one example. I could use many other examples. So when you sacrifice your own needs, when you know full well that that thing you are saying no to yourself and saying yes to other people is something that you really need, then you're not being fair to yourself. You're not being true to yourself. So, yeah, over the years, I have learned to let go of that guilt. And by the way, let me make one thing perfectly clear. I'm not talking about situations where there's a genuine need, because if someone is starving back home, then in such a situation, I mean, you can't buy a new dress when you know full well that there's an emergency back home. It could be someone who's here in the UK. When you know that, okay, they need help and it's a genuine situation, emergency situation, then in that case, it is understandable. But I'm talking about a situation where you don't have to sacrifice yourself. Like that thing that someone is asking for can wait. It can wait a few weeks, a few days, a few months. That's what I'm talking about. So in such a situation, yes. So that is the first thing that I stopped apologizing for. The second thing that I stopped apologizing for is taking time to myself. When I need time by myself, when I need to take a break from something, when I need solitude, when I need that silence to reflect by myself and just be by myself, when I need that, I no longer need to apologize. I no longer feel the need to explain myself. I no longer feel guilty either, because I know that that is quality time that I need to recharge. It is good for my soul. It is good for my mental health. And it is also good for those people around me, my kids, my loved ones, my friends, my co-workers as well. Because if I'm well recharged, if I'm of sound mind, body, and soul, then guess what? I'm also going to be good for people in my life. I'm also going to perform better at work. I'm also going to be a better person to my friends, to my loved ones. So I have stopped apologizing for taking a break, for taking time to spend with myself. So that's the second thing. The third thing that I've stopped apologizing for is outgrowing relationships. Because here's the thing. Yes, relationships, like I always say, relationships are important. They are also good for your mental health, and we are gregarious human beings. We need one another. But at the same time, there are some relationships that are not good for you. They are not good for your mental health. So in such a situation, I have learned to remove myself, to let go of such relationships. Because if you look at the numbers, especially here in the UK, when it comes to mental health, you realize that actually we are struggling a lot. And yes, some of the mental health issues are caused by isolation, not having people around you. But the same consequences also apply if you're surrounded by the wrong people. Because unfortunately, the reality is, even though you love someone dearly, or people, certain people dearly, there are times when You just have to let them go or love them from a distance, as they say. And also, some chapters need to end before other chapters can open. Sometimes it is necessary. Otherwise, when we keep relationships that we've got no business keeping, guess what? It gets in the way of us creating new healthy relationships for ourselves, whether it's friendships, romantic relationships, whatever the case may be. The fourth thing that I stopped apologizing for is not being available 24/7. Yeah, because unfortunately, sometimes you will find yourself in a situation where some people expect you to be available all the time, to be able to drop everything and do what they're asking or be at their beck and call. But over the years, I have learned to not be available. And I have stopped being that always there person, because unfortunately, there are times when people know that you're always going to be there when they need you, they'll end up taking advantage. Unfortunately, that is the reality. So over time, I have developed that courage to say, you know what, my time, my energy, they're precious and they deserve respect. So yeah, that's another thing I have stopped apologizing for. The next thing that I stopped apologizing for is shrinking or downplaying my wins. Now, this one is a major one as well, because there are times when we shrink ourselves or we downplay our achievements, our small wins, big wins, whatever type of wins that we have in our lives. Sometimes we hide them or we shrink ourselves or we avoid talking about them. I'm not talking about a situation where you just want to shove it in people's faces when it's not appropriate, but I'm talking about a situation where you want to celebrate yourself. You want to celebrate your hard work, your achievements. You want to give praise, however way you celebrate yourself. I mean, because after working hard for something, after persevering, maybe failing, picking yourself up, and when you finally win, guess what? You deserve to celebrate yourself. And it is also an act of gratitude, and gratitude, especially as a Christian, is important. So these days, I celebrate my wins, whether small, big. I celebrate myself loud and unapologetically. The next thing that I have stopped apologizing for is looking after my health. I mean, yeah, I'm talking about things like sleep, rest, eating well, because here's the thing. I mean, the truth is, especially in this economy, healthy food, I don't know why, healthy food tends to be quite expensive. Have you ever noticed that? Guess what is cheap? Fast food, Coke, sodas, sweets, sugary stuff, that sort of thing. Those things are quite affordable. But here's what I've learned to do. I have learned to prioritize healthy food, because I know that if I compromise now by eating food that is not healthy for me, guess what? I'm going to pay for it later. Because I always say that when you reach a certain age, the body starts sending you some invoice to say it is time to pay up. So I prioritize my health. I watch what I eat, I rest, I exercise, and I drink water. I go out in the sun, especially nowadays, the sun has come out in the UK. I go and get my daily dose of vitamin D and do everything that I need to do to stay healthy. And that includes protecting my mental health. And when you do that, that is an act of love, because sometimes we think, okay, we are saving money, especially when it comes to food. We think we are saving money, but in the long run, when those medical bills start coming, that's when you realize that actually you haven't saved anything, because without health, you've got nothing. So these days, I honor my health without feeling guilty. Now, the next thing that I stopped apologizing for is choosing peace over keeping up appearances. Honestly, this one is a major one, because there was a time when I used to worry a lot about keeping up appearances, but then I realized, you know what? This is a full-time job. It's best if I choose peace. Peace is more rewarding than keeping up appearances. So, yeah, that is another thing that I stopped apologizing for. The next thing that I stopped apologizing for since turning 40 is setting boundaries. This one is a major one as well. Yeah, setting boundaries was a bit of a challenge for me, because I realized that there were some things that I allowed to carry on for so long, because I didn't have the confidence, the courage to actually say no, because no is a complete sentence. You don't always have to explain yourself or try to justify why you're saying no. No is complete on its own, because here's what happens when you don't set boundaries. Over time, you lose your self-confidence and your self-esteem. And here's how it happens. When someone asks you to do something, or whatever the situation may be, or say something to you, yeah, let me use that example because this actually happened to me. There was a time when, yeah, I was going through a challenge when someone was saying things to me, things that I knew were wrong, but at the time I didn't have the confidence and the courage to say no. I didn't put a stop to it. And every time that happened and I didn't say no and I didn't put boundaries, I went home beating myself up. This was a work situation. So when I got home, I'll be like, why didn't I put a stop to it? Why didn't I say no? Why did I allow them to carry on like that? So I would feel terrible. And then one day, something just happened. Something just came over me. And I said, you know what? Today is the day. Today is the day I'm going to put those boundaries. And yes, I did it. And when I did that and got the exact response I wanted, you can guess how I felt about myself. It boosted my confidence and my self-esteem. Finally, I could breathe and I slept better as well. So since turning 40, I have learned to set boundaries. And yeah, I feel really good about that because it was a leap for me, a huge leap. The last thing that I stopped apologizing for since reaching middle age is choosing my dreams over expectations. Because before you realize some things about yourself, about life, yeah, you worry about people too much, about what people think, how they're going to look at you, what they're going to say. If you start something, how is it going to look? Guess what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. What matters, the only thing that matters is what you think about your dreams. That is the only thing that matters. Because at the end of the day, you want to remain true to yourself. And on your deathbed, wouldn't it be nice to be able to say to yourself, you know what? I followed my dreams. I gave it a good go. I tried. Even if you failed, that is okay. At least you know you tried. And if you succeeded, then you can go peacefully. You can go a happy woman, a happy man. I mean, at least I would like to think so. I mean, personally, I don't want to have any regrets before I leave this world. I want to be able to say, you know what? I did everything that I set out to do. I gave it a go. I gave it a try. Yes, I failed, but at least I tried. I want to be able to say that. So, yeah, that's why I've stopped apologizing for choosing my dreams over expectations, other people's expectations. So, yeah, these are the 10 things I wanted to share with you in this video. 10 things that I've stopped apologizing for. Now I want to know, what are some of the things that you have also stopped apologizing for after turning a certain age? It doesn't matter if you're still young, if you're, below the age of 40, it doesn't matter. What are some of the things that you no longer apologize for? As always, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video.